Which of the 7 deadly sins does each Pokemon best represent?
Today we're going to answer that question by assigning each of the 151 original Pokemon to one of those sins, which include
Pride,
greed,
lust,
envy,
gluttony,
wrath,
and sloth.
Okay, first off, Bulbasaur is a perfect baby boy who's never done anything wrong in his entire life. He should be excluded from this list.
No exceptions, Shannon. Look beyond the baby doll eyes to the sinner underneath. The whole Bulbasaur line is just riddled with sloth.
Why do you say that?
Just look at them on all 4s while every other starter's on 2 legs. I mean, just stand up, you lazy bum.
Well, asking for a bipedal starter is definitely going to get us shunned by the community, but okay.
So what about Charmander?
Pride. The whole lot of them. They're in almost every game, and they keep getting new forms. Like, even in the anime, Ash's Charizard thinks it's hot shit.
Which makes sense because it's a fire type. So, building off of that, the Squirtle line is definitely envy then, because it's always in Charizard's shadow, resentful of his fame and success.
Yeah. The only reason Venusaur isn't envy as well is because it lacks the brain power to even notice. So we know Metapod is Sloth because it just does absolutely nothing. But what about Caterpie and Butterfree?
Lust. Because...
Stop! I don't want to hear it.
Okay, but like, String Shot just looks like... But Weedle is Gluttony, because like, have you ever read its Pokedex entries? All it talks about is how much it eats leaves.
Yeah, okay, but Kakuna and Beedrill are both Wrath. You could just tell from the look in Kakuna's eyes, and also from the way Beedrill is stinging you to death.
Okay, so based on Pokedex entries, Pidgey is Sloth, Pidgeotto is Wrath, but for Pidgeot, I'm gonna make the call myself and say Pride, purely because nobody can have hair that majestic and not have an ego about it.
I'm convinced that Rattata and Raticate are both Gluttony. That's just how rats are, you know? They eat anything and everything.
Could you give us some examples, Shannon?
Pizza Rat. Others. Just move on to Spearow.
Both clearly Wrath. They're pointy, they're mean, and they look like they would have bullied me in middle school.
Don't be so hard on yourself, Peter. They'd bully you today as well. So what about Ekans?
Well, I'm thinking Gluttony because it's a snake, so it can just unhinge its jaw to swallow a bigger load.
Excuse me?
Okay, we're getting dangerously close to lust right now.
Who, Ekans or you?
So, Ekans is Gluttony, but I think Arbok is a better fit for Wrath. It has a second face on its body specifically for intimidation.
Ah, Pikachu. The mascot of the Pokemon series and the very essence of corporate greed. Hats, plushies, vehicles, X-ray machines. This mouse wants to squeeze literally every dollar from your miserable existence.
And Raichu is what happens when a Pikachu retires, so... Sloth. So, what about Nidoran?
I mean, the entire Nidoran line is lust.
Ew, Mom.
Their whole existence revolves around sex. Male Nidoran, female Nidoran. The symbols are part of their name. You've got Nido King, you've got Nido Queen. They're basically broadcasting, hey, these are the parts I have, and if you want some, come and get it.
They're all horn dogs. Literally.
What do we know about Clefairy?
Well, they're pink, they dance, they might be from space. But I'm thinking greed, because they need a priceless gemstone to evolve.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's just like the ring that evolved my girlfriend into my wife.
I'm telling her you called her greedy.
That's not what I said.
Now, Jigglypuff also evolves with a moonstone, but I'm thinking Wrath makes more sense for these two.
They're literally one tiny inconvenience away from snapping at all times.
Okay, Zubat and Golbat.
Envy. I am certain they grew a pair of eyes specifically just to see what kind of stuff they were missing out on. Plus, their whole deal is like wanting to suck and steal life force.
Gross, but true. Oddish is Sloth because I don't care, and Gloom is Gluttony because of that drool.
I mean, how do you know he's not drooling with lust?
Because I wouldn't want to live in this world anymore if that were the case.
Okay, well, what about Vileplume?
Tips my flower hat. Milady, I'm full of wrath.
You can't just keep putting people in wrath.
Most of these guys are big, scary monsters. This is where they belong. Diglett and Dugtrio are easy. Diglett is envious because he's all alone and wants friends like Dugtrio. And then when he gets them, he's all like smug about it.
Okay, but by that logic, we can say the same thing about Magnemite and Magneton.
Awesome then. 4 birds with 1 stone. Now what about Psyduck?
Psyduck is too dense to commit any sins. I'd say Sloth, but purely because he just stands there, doesn't do anything.
Well, that's not his fault. He has chronic headaches.
Yeah, and so do most adults, and we'd still get stuff done. sometimes.
Well, Golduck is definitely Pride. You can tell he's like a surfer dude who thinks he's cool as hell.
Mankey and Primate are both Wrath. You can see it in their eyes.
No, don't look into their eyes! Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam, prideful mortals that harness unholy psychic powers in a vain attempt to become unto gods.
Shannon, what the fuck are you talking about?
I was doing a bit, you know, like...
Okay, just put them in Pride and go. We're not even like halfway done this.
Alright, let's shoot off a bunch rapid fire. Pride, Gym Bros.
Lust, holes.
I'm taking away your lust privileges.
Rapid fire, Shannon. Lust, tentacles.
No, Wrath, vengeful destruction.
Sloth, they're rocks.
Envy, wants to be fast like its parents. Greed, wants to be faster than everything.
Sloth, I don't think I need to explain this one.
Gluttony, won't share its leek.
Greed, you don't need all those heads. What are you doing with them? Share some heads with the less fortunate. I almost said give head to the less fortunate.
Lust.
Lust, done.
Okay, that's enough rapid fire for now. So what about Steel and Dugong?
Well, they're literally just a seal and a dugong. They're envious of basically every other Pokemon for being more than just an animal.
Grimer and Muck are Gluttony. The slime consumes all.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but we have to put Shelter and Cloyster in Lust. You know precisely what they look like.
Yeah, I know. And I guess that Onyx belongs there too because...
No, don't put Cloyster and Onyx next to each other!
Drowsy and Hypno, the dream-eating Pokemon. They are Gluttony.
How do you think they manage to eat people's dreams?
Oh, they just stick their noses in the ears and go... So what about Execute?
Oh god, there's so many of them. They can all have their own sin.
Yeah, we just split them up across the categories.
Really though, put them in Greed. You just keep hoarding eggs.
Yeah, that's fair. They don't even need that many, because when it evolves, Exeggutor only has 3 heads.
Yeah, come on guys, you're driving the prices up for the rest of us. Don't judge me for this one, but Cubone is Envy because it's jealous of the other Pokemon for having moms.
Okay.
What an idiot!
Whoever's out there killing every single Cubone's mother is definitely going on the Wrath list.
And you know what, Marowak goes in there too because it's called Ferocious, like in its Pokedex entry, which now that I think about it, Shannon, you think Marowak is the one doing it?
Oh my god, it makes so much sense. It needs to keep itself in existence by perpetuating this cycle. Well, what about Kangaskhan? Are we considering the mother, the child, or the whole creature?
So you know how parents are always calling their kids their pride and joy?
Theoretically, yes.
I mean, there's the answer. Pride. It's no category for joy.
Joy isn't a sin. I mean, I would argue lust is joy.
It's a sin the way I do it.
Okay, so we're nearing the end now. How about we do another rapid fire round?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sloth and Wrath, because I don't know.
Pride, because royalty.
Greed. Life revolves around a gemstone.
Sloth, get a real job.
Wrath. Angry.
Get another one.
Wrath again. Also angry.
Lust, because he's got butts on his mind. See, this one is topical.
Literally topical, because it's on his top.
Oh, God.
Envy. Overshadowed by Scyther.
Oh, and this one's Wrath, because, I mean, it's a bull.
Okay, we're in the final stretch now. What do you think about Magikarp?
I don't think about Magikarp at all. But if I had to, it literally has a song wrote about it, about how useless it is. Magikarp is Sloth. It becomes wrathful when it turns into Gyarados, because it then has the power to seek revenge for everyone who made fun of it.
Such as the people who wrote the song.
Oh, them first.
Ditto is Envy, I think. It just wants what every other Pokemon has, so it just becomes them.
Yeah, you gotta be comfortable in your own skin. You know, even if your skin is just a weird pink ooze.
So what about Eevee?
Oh, Greed, hands down. To get this one to evolve, you either have to give it a precious gemstone, a ridiculous amount of attention, or take it on vacation. This Pokemon is high maintenance.
Did you know that in terms of male human and female Pokemon breeds, Porygon is the paragon of pride? It's a man-made Pokemon, like a testament of our hubris that we think we can just create another living being.
Well, we can. That's what having children is. Shannon, do you not know where babies come from?
Snorlax! Are we going to criticize its sleeping or its eating habits?
You're selling my mother.
Well, who knows? Maybe I am, since I apparently don't know where babies come from.
Well, okay, so I think Snorlax would fit in either Sloth or Gluttony, but since its name contains both Snore and Lax, it would be a better fit for Sloth.
Yeah, I agree.
The 3 legendary birds, Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres.
Just the very fact that we call them legendary and that you chose to do that voice makes me think they're all prideful.
Well, I mean, they're the only ones of their kind. Wouldn't you be as well?
I mean, I am the only one of me in this world. I hope.
The last line of Pokemon, dragons.
Dratini is Gluttony. He's a growing boy and needs his nutrients to keep molting.
Yeah, but then Dragonair has this holier-than-thou energy with its upright posture and its little necklace. Stick it in pride.
Okay, but how do we go from this to this?
Listen, I love Dragonite, but this kind of evolution can only be obtained from hours upon hours of rotting on the couch in front of the TV.
Okay, yeah, our little jaundice man is getting banished to Sloth.
Our final guys, Mewtwo and Mew.
Well, Mewtwo is definitely Wrath. Like, he literally killed a bunch of guys in a vengeful rage. But what about Mew?
So, Mew is the ancestor of all Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
Then wouldn't it contain all 7 of the deadly sins?
That just feels like a cheap cop-out to avoid having to rank it.
That is because it is.
Krabby and Wrath, because crabs are evil, and they will snip you in places.
I think my doctor was a crab.